Okay, I think now I've actually got audio going, so I think we're good. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a chilly but clear and calm January evening in the eastern California desert. My name is Mike Jerry, and we got another cool list to look at tonight. As always, however, what I should start with is taking a look at my setup so you can see exactly what I'm using. It's the details of it are in the description below if you want to look down there. But this is what I am using here. It's an 8-inch Celestron Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope with a Hyperstar, Starzone Hyperstar stuck in the front of it, and the camera is out here. And it's all running on an AM5 mount. That's of course mounted to my usual spare no expense cinder block pier. And that's what's going to be bringing us all the images tonight. However, I realized after having done that I didn't get rid of the stupid test pattern. Okay, let's try that again. So here is the actual picture of what I was just talking about. The 8-inch Celestron SCT right here, and the Hyperstar and the camera would go on there. And that is my setup. So I've gone away from the 6-inch Newt, and I've gone to the 8-inch Celestron SCT now, which because the Hyperstar is much faster and giving me much better images, I think. So I've been really happy with it. Okay, so let's see where we're at. Okay, so I am right now, I think I'm still on Capella, which is what I use to do my focusing. Good evening, Fantasy. How are you tonight? Oh, you'll be for the new moon next week, huh? All right. Cool. Well, that sounds like fun. New moon here is a great time. Lots of dark sky. So what I need to do now, I know what I need to do. So we're going to do the January Cloudy Nights Observers Challenge. And so I made the observation list earlier today, I should say. And so now I need to import that in here because January 2025, that is going to be our list for tonight. Highlight all, and then we can close that. And that will make sure that all of the objects we're looking for will have these nice blue circles. However, what will make that even easier to see is if I turn off all the other markings. Because then we will be able to actually see those circles show up much better. Come on, go away. Okay. Now we can see those circles showing up much better. So here is our selection for tonight, some of which are one is still below the horizon. And so almost all in the eastern sky. First one we should go to is the one that's going to get over the near the horizon nest, and that is what's called Mafi 1, but it's called the Hidden Galaxy. And so we're going to go to that one first. Alright, let's go ahead and get in on that. And it's Caldwell 5, or called Mafi 1. And see, Stellarium does this. It lets you select everything except the object. I can't select the object. That's hilarious. So you just got to do it from this. And then it tells you what it is. Mafi 1. It's also called the Hidden Galaxy because, well, we'll take a look at it and see. Okay, so we're ready to go. Let's zoom the telescope over to it. We should have our little indicator zipping into the window like that. Okay. And then we will do a plate solve to make sure that we are close enough. Good evening, Ron. How are you doing? I'm doing great, thanks. Daryl, thanks for being here. Alright, and there is the center of it right there, so we are good. So let's go ahead and get some images started. And we're going to need to undo this. And let's get our view indicator here, C854-183. Yes, that is correct. Alright, let's make sure we have this stuff going, and we do. So we can get you out of the way. Yeah, we're having a nice little stretch of weather here. It's been nice and clear and calm. A little bit of breeze during the day, but not bad. But the nights have been really nice. And now the moon has gone back in. Time to get back to some serious astronomy. I've been doing last couple of nights I was on Night Skies Network. But tonight back to YouTube for a session. Because I know some of you guys like YouTube better than going over to nightskiesnetwork.com, but still, it's good to have some variety. Okay, so let's get the color balance done and get this done. And we'll get our first look at this very cool galaxy that I actually myself didn't discover until within the last year. I had never seen it or heard of it before. Oh, and see how it's so bright in the middle? That's because I didn't add the flat. And so when you don't use a flat, this is what you get. You get areas of very uneven light saturation because no optical system is perfect. And it's focusing a lot more light in the center than at the edges. And so a flat is what takes care of that and evens it all off. So I will delete this one, and this next one will come in with the flat applied, and we won't see that bright stuff in the middle. And we'll probably have to readjust this as well. Yep, that's going to come in very different. Okay. It's probably about right. Okay. Very good. Ron says, it's too cold out there tonight in northeast Iowa for me, so I'm virtual with you and Kelly. Yeah, it's chilly here tonight. Probably nothing like northeast Iowa, but it's chilly tonight. It's going to get down well below freezing tonight, probably in the mid-20s for the overnight low. But right now, it says it's about 38 here right now. So far so good. All right, so the first, we are not necessarily going to do these objects in order, for those of you who are following along here. Oh, and I know what I need to do too, is I need to make this so that you guys can actually see the whole thing. I forgot. Unlike when I'm broadcasting on Night Skies Network, on YouTube I am limited to the size of the screen, so I need to make sure that I've got the screen in a place where you guys can see it okay. All right. So let's go pull up our list, and I already have it laid out in my as I said, I already have it laid out in my as an observation list in Stellarium, but I'm not going to do it in necessarily this order, because I'm going to do it in sort of the order of the sky that it's in, which is why I make this the observing list, so I know what to hit when. Like this one has to be hit first before it goes over the meridian, and if I do that, then it'll be pretty easy for me to stay on the east side of the meridian for the night, because almost all the objects are over here on the east side. So we're going to do them in the order they are laid out in the sky, leaving these ones here for last, because this one hasn't even, still below the horizon. This one's going to take a while to rise, because this is Las Vegas over here for me, so about the bottom 20 or 25 degrees of sky is all light glow, and it's blocked by a building anyway, so it kind of works out. But, so this is going to be our list. And so we are starting with Caldwell 5, which I believe he called IC342. Oop, where am I? Yeah, he called it IC342. And this is actually called also the Hidden Galaxy, although they don't call it that. And the reason they call it the Hidden Galaxy is because it is actually one of the closest galaxies to us, but it's hidden by a bunch of dust and stuff that's between us and it. And it's also in one of the arms of the Milky Way, which has a lot of stars in front of it. So its brightness is very much muted by all of that, and so it's sort of hidden. they call it. It's not very bright, not nearly as bright as it should be for how close it is. And hi Don, I see you there. Thanks for coming. Oh, hey Brian, 8 inches of snow in New Hampshire tonight. This is my brother who still lives in New Hampshire where I'm from, and still living in the weather that I'm really happy that I left behind. So, yeah, 8 inches of snow. Still, snow is beautiful, but it's more beautiful when it happens to others. Daryl, it's 24F in East Texas, so I'm inside as well. Yeah. Texas, chilly. Everywhere is chilly. Pretty much anywhere east of the Rockies right now is very chilly. Thankfully, we have the Rockies insulating us from most of it, although they're saying tomorrow is supposed to... Tonight is like the last night of calm and beautiful. Tomorrow the winds are supposed to pick up, and they're saying we're going to drop down into like 15 tomorrow for an overnight low. So it's going to get chilly here a little bit too for a couple of days, and then I think we're back up to room temperature by Thursday. So yay us. Alright, so we are up here, and then we'll work on the rest later. But this is the hidden galaxy. Alright. Let's take a look at... I don't know if... Whoa, what is going on here? IC342, it recognizes it. Very nice. IC342, also known as the Caldwell Galaxy, is an intermediate spiral galaxy in Camelopardalis, located relatively close to the Milky Way. Despite its size and actual brightness, its location behind dusty areas near the galactic equator makes it difficult to observe, leading to the name the Hidden Galaxy, though it can be readily detected even with binoculars. If the galaxy were not obscured, it would be visible by naked eye, which would put it in... Whoa, look at that beautiful thing. Let's unstack that son of a gun right out of there. That would put it in very rare company, because there's only one object outside of our galaxy that can be seen naked eye, and that is the Andromeda Galaxy. So if all the dust wasn't here, this would be the only other object we can see naked eye that's outside of our galaxy. Everything else, when you look up in the sky, everything you see in the sky is all within the Milky Way except the Andromeda Galaxy, and typically you can only see that naked eye if you've got some pretty dark skies. So how much time on each target tonight, Don? I'll probably spend about 15 minutes on each target, roughly, depending. I actually think there's going to be some star clusters in here he's got. I think you're going to have a glob or two in here, and those will be much less time. Yeah, see, there's a glob here, and there's a glob there. So any of that kind of stuff we will be doing, spending much less time, 5 to 7 minutes or something on it. But probably not much more than about 15 minutes on everything. Ironically enough, Don was around last night, I think, when I did the Angel Galaxy. That's one of the ones that is in this list. It's it's NGC 2170, and that is a very faint galaxy. We might spend a little extra time on that, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat, because I spent time on it last night, and I'll show you the final image that I took last night after 45 minutes of time on it. And it's just a very faint galaxy, and probably too much time to take on this YouTube video. So don't really want to make people sit through 45 minutes of stacking for a single target. Although it is a very pretty target, it's still very, very faint. Yeah, we got good transparency. We have had pretty low humidity and just nice dry desert air for the most part, which is part of the reason why we're going to drop so much in temperature, because we are getting some of that northern flow from the Canadian Arctic, Just a little bit does come down here, and it gives us some nice dry clear air, which hopefully is also calm. That's our biggest thing here, is wind. Not clouds necessarily, but wind. Okay. The dust that's in front of the hidden galaxy makes it difficult to determine its precise distance. Modern estimates range from about 7 million to about 11 million light-years, which puts it in our local group. The Andromeda is about 2.25 or so. Triangulum is about 2.75 million away. So this one is still pretty darn close to us as galaxies go. It is one of the brightest in the IC Mafi group. It is one of the brightest in the IC 342 Mafi group, one of the closest galaxy groups to the local group. Edwin Hubble first thought it to be in the local group, but it was later determined not to be a member, so I guess they do just put it outside our group. Huh. It's just wider than the full moon in terms of angular size in the sky. The only ones that are bigger are Andromeda and Triangulum. Alright, let's get this bit more of a stretch. It's a pretty cool looking galaxy, though. It's got some yellowish color to it, which again is probably heavily influenced by the dust that's blocking its light. But it's a pretty fun galaxy. Yeah, Brian, I know you're kind of jealous of our weather out here, but well, the fact is, yeah, and actually you'd have work out here, because there's power lines that come out here, and they're all pretty darn remote, obviously. So my brother's a lineman in New England, so it goes all over the place. In rural New England, through bushes and thickets and swamps and lakes and everything else, to deal with downed power lines and repairing lines all over rural New England, mostly New Hampshire. But well, you'd be able to do it out here. Some would be a lot easier to get at, a lot less trees certainly, but still mountains and some tricky areas to get to. Good transparency. Daryl asks how much gain I'm using. Oh boy, look at that nice satellite. You know what? I think I'm just going to leave it. It's fine. It's not infecting the target, so I'll just leave it. I am using a gain set of 53, which on the where am I? Gain here. Yeah, 53 is what I'm using tonight, which is considered half unity on the 183. I tend to use a setting of 53 or half unity when I'm doing broadband. No filters except a UV-IR cut. And when I'm using the NBZ or any narrowband, I'll use what's called full unity, which is 111 for gain. But I rarely do narrowband work on YouTube. Mostly I do that on NSN when I'm done on there. Yeah, well, that's right, Don. 45 minutes. Most people there are just fine with spending time on a target. We tend to, on Night Skies Network, you can actually talk live to people. Anybody who's got a microphone and is on the broadcast can just talk. On YouTube, it's only the presenter, me, who can talk. And the rest of you guys have to log in and chat back at me to do any talking. But on NSN, you can just, if you have a microphone, you can talk, you can listen, you can talk, or you can type text as well if you want to. And so we just usually get on there and yak away, and 45 minutes later, oh yeah, there's a thing here that I've been distracted from. And so we tend to take more time on targets there. Tends to be a bit more experienced astronomers go on there, but we have some pretty nice stuff that anybody would find pretty cool. So, if you want to go check out Night Skies Network sometime, it's a pretty neat place. Sorry for the frog in my throat tonight. In fact, what I should do is, I think I'll do that right now while we're building for a couple minutes. I'm going to go get my my drink. So I will be right back here in a minute. Okay. And let me know how my audio is. If my voice is too soft or music's too loud or whatever. I think I've got things set pretty well now. As long as I keep the microphone right in front of my mouth, it seems to work out pretty well. Okay, so there is the hidden galaxy. You can zoom in a little bit more, but it's a pretty cool little spiral galaxy. Especially when it's offset with the bluish stars in front of it. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on there. So it's a very neat little target. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it. Okay. Alright, so now let's see what we're going to do next. I guess 1931 is sort of right where we are here. Yeah, so that's still way off. This is still way below the horizon. Anyway, we'll just pick the next one here. NGC 1931. Actually, you know what the easiest way is to just do this. 1931. Oh, the Fly Nebula. Well, this is a... we can probably get... Can we get the Spider as well? Yeah, so this is the Fly, and this is the Spider that's getting them. So let's get both of them. Why get just one when you can do a twofer? There we go. So we'll get both. Okay. Good night, Hidden Galaxy. Thank you for your beautifulness. And now let's go to the Spider and Fly. Right. Where are you? Come on, you. If I don't wait for this to show up, it screws up the plate solving. Okay, so let's make sure we're on the target. 0.13 degrees. I can already see we got a galaxy there. Okay, let's get this 53, and we're off to the races. Okay, Ron asks, do you ever run narrowband on the larger galaxies? Occasionally I do. It helps you pick up the HA and you know, the stellar nurseries that are in them, the red and blue spots. that are in them. It can help with that. I don't do it very often, for the simple reason that galaxies are stars, basically. They're huge collections of stars, and so they're full spectrum objects. So when you go narrowband and cut out, the primary reason for narrowband is to cut down on the star field that's typically blocking nebulae or other faint objects. And so by putting in a filter that blocks out 98% of the light spectrum, you really cut the star field back, the obscuring star field back, and bring forward the specific frequencies of the nebulae, which are usually hydrogen and oxygen. And so filtration like that blocks starlight. And given that galaxies are mostly stars, I tend to not use narrowband filters or much of any filters on galaxies, just because it, again, knocks down 98% of the galaxy. So, but like I said, it will bring out certain pockets of high energy stuff going on, star formation, large nebulae, those kinds of things. And so it will help with some of that stuff, but by and large, I just go full spectrum with galaxies and get everything, and just get as much of the galaxy as I can. So, hey, good evening, Mike. Yeah, the music, the thing about the music is, and I see, this is why I just need to make sure to keep my microphone. I really want my mic to be in front of my mouth and to be louder, because I want my voice to be loud, but I don't really want to like cut everything back, because then I've noticed, in comparison to a lot of other YouTube folks who are doing live and even pre-recorded videos, their voices are much louder than mine, and so I'm trying to raise the levels on everything on my stuff, so that I can be heard better. I've just heard a number of times that my voice is too soft and they can't hear. So, but the music it does have is pretty variable in terms of its loudness. I do get that. Sometimes it is pretty loud, but then there are other times where it's really soft. So hopefully my voice is just a little bit louder now. So this is the spider and the fly is up here. So this is the nebula that he wanted us to look at, and so we will look at both of them, each in their time, and you'll see that the fly, they both actually have areas of red, which is hydrogen and emission nebula, and areas of blue, which is reflection nebula, where the dust, reflective dust and gases, is actually reflecting the stars themselves, the starlight. So it's blue in color. So we'll just let this get. We can zoom in probably a little bit more. We'll zoom into the fly. Now I don't know how they got a fly out of this, but or even a spider out of the other one. But that's what they call it. This is the fly nebula, and you can see the blue area that's reflection and the red area that's emission nebula, which means a star or stars is actually irradiating the gases in here and causing them to fluoresce, causing them to ionize and fluoresce and emit their own light. So they're called emission nebula. Okay, thank you, Mr. Page Player. Hopefully my voice is now louder. I like that to stay. Hopefully that is gonna be the way to go. Okay. NGC 1931. Let's see if Wikipedia has an entry on these guys. Actually, I'm going to turn my jacket on first. Love my heated clothing. That's one reason why I can sit out here in cold temperatures, because battery-powered jacket and pants. Great stuff. Okay. NGC. And now I've forgotten what it is already. 1931. NG, come on, C. 1931. Yep, there we are. Emission and reflection nebula in the constellation Auriga. The nebula has been referred to as a miniature version of the Orion Nebula, as it shares some of the same characteristics. It's a mixed emission-reflection nebula and contains a smaller version of the trapezium in its hot young star cluster centered in the emission nebula. Huh. So centered in the red part here, there's actually another trapezium, just like, which is a formation of stars, that is just like what's in the Orion Nebula. If I go much more than about 50%, it starts getting all pixely. The entire cluster nebula complex is only about 3 arc-minutes in size. The distance from Earth is estimated at 7,000 light-years. Alright, cool. Well, we'll spend a little time on this. Oop, sorry. Yeah, that's, tell you, heated apparel, it was not cheap. It was not cheap to buy this outfit, but it was worth every penny. Total game changer for me. I'm not out here sitting in 7 layers in the upper part of me and 5 layers in the bottom part of me and can barely move, and it's cutting off my circulation because there's so many layers, which makes me just cold. With this, nothing. I can just wear this with just a t-shirt underneath, and I mean just because actually if you wear insulating layers underneath the jacket and the pants, all it does is insulate the heating pads from you, so it actually works better to not have much of anything underneath, and it's just so much more comfortable and so much more warm that it's just so totally worth it. Totally makes being out here a lot more comfortable in the wintertime. That is faux show. Okay, let's see if my drink is cooled enough here to... Almost. Yeah, I've really liked my my heated apparel. Total game changer for me. I just turned both pants and jacket on, and all of a sudden I am you can feel the heated pads just soaking into you. So nice and warm. Just a beautiful thing. Hi, Michael. Cold Virginia. Yeah, I guess pretty much everyone east of the Rockies right now is pretty darn cold. I should call my parents. They're in New Hampshire, and I know they're cold up there right now. Nice hot beverage also helps a lot. So we are currently on the Fly Nebula, both reflection and emission nebula, and they're comparing it to the Orion Nebula, which obviously is a lot bigger and a lot brighter, but still a star-forming region that actually has a trapezium just like the Orion Nebula does, which is kind of interesting. It's 9 degrees in Michigan. Yeah, well, Michigan is almost Canada, so that's, you know, and you're surrounded by the Great Lakes, which doesn't make it any warmer. Actually, you know what? This time of year, maybe it does make it a little warmer. Maybe not when they freeze over, though. I'm assuming the Great Lakes freeze over. With that kind of temperature, they must. Okay, I think we can stretch this a little bit more. Doing good. Let you guys see a little bit more. Nope, they don't. They don't freeze over, huh? They're too big. Too much water. Interesting. Alright, so this is the fly. We'll come back to that in a second. Let's take a look at the spider, our bonus object. I don't know, maybe it's because of these here. They look like maybe spider legs. I'm not sure. You know, when they named these things umpteen years ago, centuries ago sometimes, they were not able to see even a fraction of what we can see in this image today in our own backyard. So it looked very different to them than it does to us. But you can see again a combination of, there's a lot of blue reflection nebula here, which is just reflecting starlight, and the emission nebula sections, which are also a star cluster in there. Let's see what they have to say about. Bring up the annotation here. Okay, so cluster, dark nebula, open cluster. Stock 8? Stock 8? What the heck is Stock 8 open cluster? Must be a catalog name of some kind. Huh. Okay. Well, let's see if there is just a... Legs show up better in HA. Okay, thanks, Don. So basically the red, the hydrogen, as Don is saying, is where the legs show up. And because we're doing, basically pulling in the full light spectrum here and seeing everything, it, yeah, see, maybe this red here and this red there, and I don't know. Let's see if I can find some info on it on the, No, I can't get a... Let's see if this... Stellarium. Yeah. Okay, I see 417. Alright. Try that. I see 417. No. There is no IC417. Interesting that they have an entry in here. Well, I get the fly got into the NGC catalog. Oh, excuse me, the spider. I'm sorry, no, the fly. The fly got into the NGC catalog. So it has an entry. Spider apparently didn't. So it doesn't really have an entry. It's a larger, prettier, brighter thing. But doesn't really have any sort of entry. Well, anyway. They're both pretty, and they both have what we're looking for tonight, which is a kind of a mixture of reflection and emission. If we were using a narrowband filter, then the blue reflection area would be cut way back with starlight, because it is reflecting starlight, which is full spectrum, and the narrowband filters would cut 98% of it. So the blue would almost disappear, but the red would really pop out. It would cut these stars way back, and in fact the smaller ones would disappear entirely. And so it makes it seem like the nebula will just pop out, when in fact it's cutting everything else back. So, like Don said, if we were able to do that with a narrowband filter, the red parts would stand out much better. We'd be able to see something much better for the, we'd be able to see the legs much more clearly. Alright, well, let's take that was the spider. Let's take one more look at the fly. And we'll move on to our next. I'll push it a little more, even though it might get a little grainy still. Let you guys see it a little bit better here. Maybe even push the stretch a little. Cool little nebula. Hey, Happy New Year to you as well, Gary. How are things down in San Diego? Alright, spider and fly. We could go up here and do tadpoles and flaming star, and oh my gosh, there's so many things to see. But we've got a list. So we need to do the list. Alright, I think the next thing... Oh, well, that went too far. Okay. So the next thing we can do is... I'm going to wait on this one. Let's do 1875 next. Probably makes the most sense. In fact, let's reorder this. 1875 probably makes the most sense next. So, a pair of interacting galaxies. Right near Orion's front shoulder. Okay. Let's go see a pair of interacting galaxies. Okay, let that settle in there. And now we will plate solve that. And that, yeah, that gets, that moved Bellatrix out of the way, which is good, because that's a very bright, blindingly bright star. Okay, and so this is going to be NGC 1875. So let's see what we've got here. NGC 1875. My computer is messing up here. Yeah, my old computer is messing up right now, and I've lost the mouse. Well, I may be stuck without Wikipedia on that machine. If I can't get the mouse... Oh, there we go. Okay, maybe it came back. Okay, I'm not seeing them. Yeah, so this bright cluster is kind of pointing right at them, so they should be right in here. So I guess we just need to... You can see some blue nebulosity here and some interesting stuff going on, but they should be... Well, for starters, I've got the blacks clipped, so let's fix that problem. Well, guess we'll get our annotation out here, and boy, this is very, very small, so I may not be able to do this. Let's see what he has to say about NGC 1875. A galaxy cluster in Orion. A galaxy cluster. Well, so this is not interacting galaxies. This is a galaxy cluster. If we zoom in more, we'll get... I'm not seeing very many galaxies here. There's a few. There's some PGCs down here. Obviously another PGC in there. The rest of these are just stars. So, and the rest of it, a galaxy cluster in our NGC 1875. No. This image is all very fuzzy. Looks like Stellarium has overlaid an image over the stars. And it's all pretty fuzzy. Oh, good, you're still doing photometry. That's cool. Mr. Page Player says, is there a way to change filters with the Hyperstar easily? It's not extremely difficult, but you can't really do it, well, without a filter drawer, and they do make filter drawers for the Hyperstar. You have to take the camera off and just take the front plate of the just a little thing off the front of the Hyperstar, and then change the filters. But you do have to take the camera off. So, no, you can't do it on the fly without a filter drawer. They do make those for the Hyperstar. So, if I had a filter drawer, I could swap out things pretty easily. Of course, at that point, anytime you change anything that's significant in the image train, you have to at least refocus. So, you know, it's not just sort of a pop one out, pop it in, and keep going thing. It would require a focus change at least. Possibly even a collimation check, although that shouldn't mess up very much. So, no, even if we had a filter drawer and you swapped filters out, you'd probably still have to at least do a focus change. But, yeah, so... it's not brain surgery, but it's not something that can be done easily on a fly. Certainly not something that I would want to do during a a broadcast, I guess. Fantasy asks, do you lose a lot of the background stars with that move? I'm not sure what that question means. You do lose a lot of the background stars with that move. Probably something that happened a couple minutes ago and I missed it, so sorry, I don't really know what you're meaning there, Fantasy. Okay, yes, my beverage can finally be covered, because it is finally cooled off enough for me to actually drink it. Although the microphone being right in front of my mouth does make drinking a challenge. I guess I should get a straw. In fact, that's easily done. Be right back. Okay. When you move to the filter to the left. Carrie says, we'll spend the next 4+ months on the flare star. Leo, Joy got a C star, S50. Oh, Joy got a C star. Good. Get her started early. I assume she already has a mobile device to operate it from. Well, let's do a little bit more stretching so you guys can see more of what's going on here. But yeah, so this obviously is a galaxy here, but I'm not seeing a lot of... I mean, obviously there are galaxies here, but there's just not a lot to see. So, probably not going to spend more than about 10 minutes on this. Ah, straw, what a wonderful invention. When you move the filter to the left, I'm wondering if you mean the adjustments here in the histogram. Wow, got a nice big bright satellite blazing through there. Huh. Running from an iPad, she's already pretty handy with it, I'll bet. Yep, these youngsters are far better on those things than we are. Okay, now I also need to, I also forgot to resize this so that you guys can see most of this window as well. There we go, that's good enough. Alright. Let's see what we've got next here. 1808, we could probably hit that next. Then the all attack region. I'd like to let this get up a little higher because these are the two very southern targets. He made a list where he had a few targets for southern folks, and I can get 2 out of the 3. I can get these I believe these bottom 2 are what we get, 3324, 1808, 2898. No, the top 2 are the ones I can get. This one is too far south, but these 2 I can get. But they're really low in the south. It's only, it's going to be less than 20 degrees above my southern horizon. So I got probably about 15 degrees above my southern horizon. So I'm going to need to wait until those get up as high as I can. So let's try 2022 next. Okay, 2022 Planetary Nebula. Okay, so this one will also be a very small one. Kissing Crescents Nebula. This one will also be a very small one. We definitely got some nice blue happening there with this. We can definitely see the nebulosity in the area. But the galaxy cluster, we didn't get so much of that. Okay. Let's just pop over a tiny bit and get the Kissing Crescents Nebula, Orion's Collarbone Nebula. Alright. I'm not even going to bother to plate solve because we got to be pretty close to it. Gary says, I got a second one for the observatory, trying to run it in EQ mode to see if it could do photometry. Not quite working with third-party app, but close. Huh. Not sure what you mean by running it in EQ mode. You've always been using an equatorial mount, haven't you? Oh, you mean the C-Star. Got it. Duh. Okay. Trying to run it in EQ mode to see if we can do photometry. Yeah. They, it seems to do pretty well, I guess, in EQ mode. A lot of people really like them. I know that. In fact, I know people with observatories who like their C-Star better because they just don't have to deal with all the hassle of the observatory. They can just pop this thing out on the deck or drive somewhere very easily to a darker spot than where they live, and just makes life easier. Okay, let's do this, and let's back off on this a little bit. But our little nebula, you can see our little planetary is right in here. Again, a very small object. It looks like our mount hadn't quite settled. Let me get the power plugged in here. Looks like our mount hadn't quite settled because the stars are a little streaky. So I will delete this sub and get another first one where hopefully the running in the clouds already not projected to get any better. This might be a short evening. Yeah, I did notice there was a swell of clouds coming up from the south, and I was concerned at first that it might get me, but I don't think it's gonna till much later. So very cool. We had a birthday party for Joy today, and we're imaging the sun. Oh, so today was her birthday? Oh, well, if she's listening, and I know sometimes she is, happy birthday, Joy. Alright, so again, this is a really, really small object. So not really what my setup is geared toward. It's also pretty bright, so I may end up actually backing off on the stretch here a bit to see if we can pick off some of the detail in it. Right now it just looks like a blue ball. Planetary nebulae. Basically the death process of a sun, much like our own. Joy says thanks. Well, you're very welcome, Joy. Enjoy your new sea star. Those are a lot of fun. Now you can get images just as good as your dad's, and a heck of a lot easier. Yeah, this is kind of cool. I'm already way over zoomed more than I should be, but we may not get a whole lot of features from it. Zoomed at 150%, so this is like a crazy amount of zoomage, but the sequencer tab, yes. So the sequencer is a way to set up commands in SharpCap that you use repeatedly. And so each one of these are just my most frequently used ones, each one of these is for controlling SharpCap. So when I'm ready to go to another target, I click this and it turns off. It turns off the live stacking, resets the screen to 0 zoom, resets, sets the display histogram to maximum to make stuff easier. I mean, it's just a way of multitasking and not missing any steps. Because every time you go to a new object, you have to do the same steps. And then when you get on an object and you want to start imaging, you have to go through a certain set of steps. And they're always the same. And now and again, you'll forget steps and screw it up. So you create a sequencer that does it for you, and then you never miss any steps. So with the sequencer, you basically open it and you put in basically these individual commands that make one of the programs, make one of the sequences. And so you can add, there's all kinds of tabs here of the different commands and functions within SharpCap that you can add to it. And when I started, there was only about 5 or 6 of these tabs, and now there's a lot more. He's added a lot more stuff to it. And so there's almost anything you can do in SharpCap, you can make a sequencer for. All the commands and the various things you can do are all in here. And you just create the individual steps. You just basically drag it over to add it to a command. And so it's really, like, it's not even programming. It's really drag and drop kind of stuff. And so, you just build your commands and you build your sequences, and then you can just run them individually. And so this one here is how I start my imaging. So once I've found the object, then this sets the gain back to where I want it to be for my imaging, and then sets these 3 commands here to set the display histogram back to normal mode for imaging, sets the exposure here, starts the live stacking, and then waits 2 seconds and clears whatever was in there before, and then makes everything go away. So these are the steps that need to occur every single time you get on an object, and so you just create a sequence for it. So yeah, it's it's just a fun way to do the same steps over and over again and not miss any of them. So but hopefully that helps a little bit. Definitely go to the SharpCap manual to look at how to use it, because there's a lot of detail about how to use it and stuff, and that's how I learned to use it way back when. And like I said, there's a lot more commands in there now than there were before, so there's stuff in there I've never even seen or tried. So I'm way behind on the information how to use it. I would have to go to the manual now to figure out what some of that new stuff is. So But anyway, that's sort of the basics of it, and I would go to the manual. I'd refer you to the manual to get to use it, to do exactly what you want it to do. So anyway, I'm going to keep stacking on this and give my voice a rest a little bit here, and let it see if we can't get any more detail out of this planetary nebula. Okay, so I don't know if we're going to get much more detail out of this. It just seems like kind of a blue ball, so yeah, I'm going to probably just move on here. We'll just go on to the next thing. But definitely a nice little planetary. Let's see, how high are you yet? Not very high. So let's go to the Alnitak region. What the heck? All right. Let's get in on Alnitak. All right. And we will take this. All right, and we will go to it. Okay, and there's Flame, and there's Horsehead, so I'm actually going to move it a little bit. Let's actually head a little bit further down toward Horsehead. Maybe get like that. And that should move us, yeah. So I'll get Flame there, and actually that didn't do exactly what I was hoping it would. Alright, that's where I want it. Wow, that moved it way too far down. Oh, actually, where am I? Oh, that looks like the lump star there. So actually, yeah, I don't think this is right. So, let's... Okay, so go. Yes. Alright. Alright, so... Now this is a really bright area, so we will, this is probably going to be the brightest objects we're going to see tonight. So these should show up pretty quick and easy. Okay, and the named object is the Horsehead Nebula. So this is one we're actually supposed to be getting tonight, Barnard 33, the Horsehead Nebula, but we're going to get the Flame as well, another twofer, hopefully if I've aligned it right. And so we'll get both in the same image, and they're both about 1,400 light years away. So, all right. Okay, let's get this and bring this over here. Yeah, no, I needed it to be higher. Oh well. No, that's not what I was trying to hit. Not that one. I need that one. Yes. Move it up. Okay. And then we're going to need to... I'm going to need to change the... Wait, let me clear this. And now I got to reset this to restart. Okay, and then we'll clear that. Okay, and that should now have us hopefully a little bit better aligned with both of them. Alright, anyway, the Horsehead Nebula, which we're about to see here, it's a dark nebula. It actually is covering up. It's a dark piece of dark nebula that's covering up a big area of red hydrogen emission nebula, and it's in the shape of a horse's head, so they call it the Horsehead Nebula. And then the bright yellowish tan one next to it, that we're going to see here in a second, is called the Flame Nebula. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit better. One of the interesting things about this part of the sky is there's a lot of satellites here, because it's about mid-high in the southern sky from where I am, and so there's a lot of geostationary satellites. So you'll see the satellite will do this much in each 1 minute sub, so it'll be there, then it'll be here, then it'll be here, so they slowly inchworm their way across the view. But this here is the Horsehead Nebula. If I flipped my view over, it would be upright, but anyway, this is how it comes out with the Hyperstar. Tends to flip everything over. This stuff's about 1,400 light years away, and it's in the Orion complex, which is just a whole massive area of star formation and lots of gases and stars being born. So, but the object he wanted us to look at on the list tonight was the Horsehead here. Let's hope we don't have too many more satellites bombing through for the next 10 minutes or so. But they're going to do what they're going to do. So, alright. And this here, this blazingly bright star is Alnitak. And Alnitak, if you look up at the constellation Orion, if you stick your head out the window, it's the left-hand star in Orion's belt. And so that is this really bright star we're looking at right here. And these are just two nebulae that are right around it in the area of it. It's interesting, Wilhelmina Fleming actually discovered this. So she's the person who also discovered what's called Pickering's Triangle in the Veil Nebula. She actually discovered it, but Pickering was the guy in charge, so it got named after him. But she's discovered a number of things, and the Horsehead was actually discovered by her in 1888. And so that's kind of cool. She gets credit for something else. Oh, and we just got our first. See, a geostationary is going right through the middle, so I'll have to unstack. See, this is going right through the middle, so the satellite's going to do this much, and then the next frame it'll do this much, and then the next frame. So I'm just going to unstack them until it goes across. So, no, it's probably a Starlink. As you can tell, I have my neighbor is here visiting tonight, so he's here just chatting with me, and so he's probably asking questions that you guys have too. So I'll just answer them live. So. Yeah, so it's a satellite that's bombing through. So I'll unstack the next 2 or 3 subs so that it'll just like skip the area we are looking at. This is an area that is pretty crowded with satellites. So you tend to have to spend a little extra time on it. But the nice thing is it's really bright. You know, see, now it's here. So next sub it'll do probably here to here. So we'll just keep nuking them until they go away. Yeah, thanks for the reminder, Mike. Hit that thumbs up button, guys. Leave me some likes. Let's see who we got. Thank you for the beautiful picture, beautiful image. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. AJ Graphics says, which observatory? Well, this is just me sitting out in my yard with my stuff set up. So, in fact, here, I'll show you again. Where is my... oh, did I? No, here it is right here. I can show you my setup again. This is what I'm using tonight. So, again, an 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope with a Hyperstar in the front, and the camera's stuck in there. Sitting on my spare no-expense cinder block pier on an AM5 mount, and this is where I'm sitting on a table right behind all this, and this is what is bringing us the images tonight. So, not really an observatory. This stays outside all the time. I just bring the mount and scope inside when I'm done. So, that's what's doing all the work. Okay, now we will unstack that one, and then it'll start up here and go out. I'll probably just leave that one because it won't interfere with the pretty part of our image. Super chat. Oh, okay, Michael. I was wondering. I didn't see the figure 8 you were referring to. So, yeah, it must have been a different broadcast. Okay, yeah, looks like I could stretch it a little more over there. You guys are... Straighten this out, got the colors a little more balanced. Take that over there, and bring this, get a little more stretched, so you guys can see more. Howdy, Ray. I have all the details of the camera and what I'm using in the description, but in this case it's an ASI 183MC camera running on a Hyperstar Celestron C8. And this again is the star Alnitak, which is the very left-hand star in the belt of Orion. And so that's what we're looking at right now, what's in this yellow rectangle. And this is what it looks like through the telescope with 60-second exposures, which help a lot. But I really like the AM5 mount. It's served me really well. As with anything Chinese made, quality control is a little bit of a crapshoot. But most people who have one have good luck with it. I've really enjoyed mine. It's worked really well. And so, you know, with that caveat in mind, I wouldn't hesitate to buy one. You know, buy one from a good, reputable seller who's got a good return policy, and try the heck out of it for 30 days. And if you have any problems, send it back. Otherwise, you'll probably just have a good time with it. I really enjoy using it. It gets much better guiding than my AVX ever got for, you know, a quarter of the weight of hauling stuff in and out. So I really like it. It works well for me. And I could also add here that these are 60-second unguided exposures. So I'm not even using guiding for these, and the AM5 is keeping the stars pretty round. You know, so it does a pretty good job even unguided. I think I've actually been able to take it up to 90 seconds, and again, keep the stars pretty round. So it does a pretty darn good job. Well, when I do guide, as I said, I'm not guiding tonight, but when I do guide, I have a separate guide scope and camera that I use. And I use PhD to do the PhD 2 to do the guiding. Yeah, this is a pretty spectacular thing to image, especially from here. I get some good images of this thing. I always have, no matter what scope. I mean, it's so bright and colorful, and the fact that I'm in dark skies means I don't have to use a bunch of filters, which change the colors and mute it. So I have pretty lucky with that. So I get some pretty good images of this spot. Probably the rest of what we're going to see isn't going to be nearly as spectacular as this, but we still got some cool stuff coming up. So, I polar align with SharpCap, and I get within half an arc minute, and that's usually more than enough for me to stay right on target. So, you know, and this is unguided, so. Obviously, the AM5 is pretty happy with that. But yeah, I use a SharpCap, which makes it quick and easy to polar align, and I get within 30 arc seconds. So, and Mike G says 5-minute subs. Yeah, yep, definitely need guiding for 5-minuters. I do 3 and 5-minute subs when I'm on Night Skies Network when I'm broadcasting there, but not when I'm on YouTube. I don't think people would want to sit through 5-minute subs here. Oh, sorry you got clouded out, Gary. But thanks for showing up. It's good to see you again. And again, happy birthday to Joy. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Pretty good staying away from satellites so far. Of course, I should knock on wood when I say that. We've only got really one that's come through the middle. This one was here when we first started, so got pretty lucky. Mr. Page Flair asks, how long since I started the hobby? Well, actually, about 45 years. My parents got me my first telescope when I was, I think, about 10. And 10 or 12, I want to say. They got me a Sears refractor, you know, on this little rickety wooden tripod, and, you know, like all the consumer level telescopes and stuff, it was not very sturdy, but it got me out under the stars and got me to see some amazing stuff. I was able to see planets and certainly the moon quite well. And I grew up in northern New England in New Hampshire, and 45 years ago it was nice dark skies up there. Not now, but 45 years ago it was nice dark skies, and so I was able to see a lot of really cool stuff with that scope, and it got me hooked. And then through my life it's been an on and off hobby, a lot of off, a lot of on, and then this past several years since I moved out to the desert, I started again, and that's where I really discovered EAA, discovered the use of cameras. And once I discovered my camera and saw, used a camera for the first time and saw the first image I got, that was it. I was done using eyepieces. I mean, you can't see anywhere near a fraction of this through an eyepiece. And so I was Like, finally I can see the things that I've always seen in magazines and have never been able to see through any of my telescopes. And so for me it was just a matter of I'm done with looking at eyepieces, and it was all 100% imaging for me from that point forward. And so that's been probably, gosh, that's been 6 or 7 years maybe I've been doing that. I started off with a little Revolution imager and just started upgrading my scopes and cameras from there until I'm at what I'm at today. So, and still I don't have a whole lot of money in the hobby compared to what can be spent in it. You know, just a C8 with a Hyperstar and a 183, so it's not a lot there, but you can just, the technology has moved forward so fast, and the things you can do with the software and the hardware today are just amazing compared to what you could do even a few years ago. It's gotten so much better. So yeah, there's a long answer for you, but no, actually, Ray, I don't really post my stuff. I don't actually save my images because I enjoy the live views, and so I just come out and get new images when I want to see them. And so I don't usually save my stuff. I used to save it, used to even post it to Facebook here and there, but I stopped doing that. I just really enjoy seeing the quote-unquote live views. Obviously, it's not actually live because we're doing 60-second sub-exposures, but it's what I enjoy more than actually looking at photographs of stuff. You know, I'm not an astrophotography person. I will never take them inside and Photoshop them and tweak them and tune them. There are people who spend more time inside tweaking them than they do actually outside collecting the data, so that's not me. I just like looking at stuff. So, but anyway, there is the spectacular. This is probably going to be the nicest, prettiest thing we're going to look at tonight. The next thing we're going to look at is certainly going to be a lot more dim. But anyway, this is a good one. So I think we'll move on to the next thing. In fact, maybe we might go down and look at the. We might go try this one down here now. It might be high enough where I can actually see it. So let's go see if we can see where I do have a telephone pole down there too that I have to kind of dodge around. So we'll see if what we can get for it, but we'll slew down there and see. But it's going to be a galaxy, so nothing nearly as big and bright and sexy as this. But we'll see what we can see. Alright, let's head down there. So now this is going to go right down really close to us. It's basically going to be pointing right by our heads. So we got to be careful not to shine any light in it, or it will... In fact, even walking in front of it with this displays, the light reflecting off you can sometimes... So it's so sensitive. The cameras are so sensitive that it's... Alright, wrong keys. Alright, let's try plate solving on that to make sure we got in the right area. It says we're off by a degree. Alright, well, we'll see. See if we... Oh yeah, there it is right there. Can already see it. Okay. And this will get that going. Yeah, SharpCap does do a bit of processing, but you know, because I do have a little bit in here, I have a little bit of sharpening and a little bit of noise reduction on it, but you know, so it is doing a little bit of processing. It's applying darks and flats to the image to make sure that I'm getting completely flat illumination across the field and that kind of stuff. But it's certainly not doing the kind of stuff that astrophotographers do. So alright, so this is NGC 1808. Let's see. NGC 1808. A barred spiral located in the southern constellation of Columba, about 2 degrees to the south and east of Gamma Caeli. It was discovered on May 10th, 1826 by Scottish astronomer James Dunlop. Oh yeah, see, oh yes, already you can see we had that is a power line, I believe. So we're very close to, let's get the colors balanced here. We're very close to wires, but we should be able to at least see the galaxies themselves without too much difficulty. And see, here's the other one down here. But yeah, we are right against some power lines. So they may encroach. But these are kind of cool looking galaxies. But the one we're looking at, I think the one that's actually the 1808 is the top one. It's a member of the NGC 1808 group. Well, I guess that makes sense. Which is part of the larger Dorado group. It's a spiral galaxy with a weak bar around the nucleus, no ring around the bar, and an outer ring, and tightly wound spiral arms. So there are little spiral arms in here somewhere. Yeah, 1808 there, and then 1792 is this one down here. Now this is a cluster of galaxies. Let's make the movie. So these are all galaxies in here. All very small, faint PGC galaxies. They're probably just really far away. And the two big bright ones are 1808 and 1792. And I think that they're calling this an interactive. I think these two may be interacting with each other. The disk of gas, it's inclined by an angle of 57 degrees to the line of sight from Earth, with the long axis oriented at a position angle. The disk of gas and stars shows a noticeable warp, and there is pronounced asymmetry in the distribution of neutral hydrogen, and blah blah blah. Starburst activity. The high level of star formation in this galaxy and the nearby NGC 1792 may indicate a recent distant tidal interaction between the two. So, yeah, they kind of passed by each other or through each other at some point in the recent history, and so they're sort of still interacting, or at least have interacted, and have kind of messed each other up as a result a little bit. Hopefully the wire is going the other way and not coming this way. It should, I think. Well, it depends on whether we're under it or over it. I don't know, because this stuff still is rising in the southern sky right now. So my friend Jim just asked a good question. How big is this thing? And it looks like it's about 90,000 light years across, which is about three-quarters the size or so of the Milky Way galaxy. And you can see actually it has some things that kind of stick off and sort of swirl out here. But I don't think that's actually... Well, actually, I don't know. I think there is. I think this is part of the faint outer ring. Yeah, now that I'm looking at the Hubble image here too. Yeah, this is all part of a faint outer ring. And so these are the really short spiral arms. They're just little stubby spiral arms that come out here to the outer ring, which is in this outer part. And we'll have to get a lot more sub-exposures to bring any of that out. But it looks like that we're going to be able to pick up some of that faint ring. See how much of it we can get. I probably got a little too far with that one. But you can sort of see that faint outer ring right there. Oh, thanks, Ray. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being here. The Great Galactic Power Line Divide. Yeah, no kidding, huh? This is only about 15 degrees above my southern horizon, so far it's not really impeding on it too much, so maybe we'll get lucky. I don't know what this one looks like, another spiral, sort of, but I think we're seeing this more edge on. Yeah, so this one, I don't know. Let's see here. 1792. They got an entry on that? They probably have an entry. Spiral galaxy, blah, blah, blah. Distance of 36.5 million light years. So they're about 36 million light years away. And high level of star formation, again, probably because of their gravitic interaction. Probably the high-level star formation is nearby. Recent tidal interaction between the two galaxies, yes. Yeah, this one's just sort of a regular spiral. It's just sort of a blobby or regular spiral. There's not a whole lot of... I mean, we are getting a little bit of something here, but it's just it's a spiral galaxy. I think 1808 is more interesting. Interesting to look at. It's got a little bit more to see in this one. Hopefully we can pick out some detail from it here. Hey, Mark. Yeah, thank you, sir. So you're out in Anza. Okay. Cool. Well, you got some dark skies then. Yeah, it may take some sub-exposures to get much more of that outer ring. It's very, very faint. Very, very faint. I have to kind of dance with the histogram stretch to make it bright enough for you guys, but not make it so grainy and noisy. But you can kind of see that faint outer ring out there. And just a little bit of detail in the inner part. Alright, so we got one of our southern targets. Yeah, 2298, we're going to have to wait a little bit for that to come up a little more. But not too long, because this one's getting close to power lines, my power pole anyway. So we'll probably give that, we'll go do a few more objects and then come back for that one. We've definitely got, yeah, so this one here is just barely risen in the northeastern sky. Luckily I have the view almost to the horizon in the northeastern sky, so we should be able to get that one without too much trouble. Okay, so we've done these two, we've done these three. We did 1931 already. So, I guess next we're going to be doing this one here. 21, oh, that's the Angel Nebula. Haha. That's the Angel Nebula. That one is going to be a whole different story. That one is pretty, but it's very faint. So that's the one we're actually going to cheat on. I'm actually going to we're going to spend 10 or 15 minutes on it, and then I'm going to actually show you a picture I did of it last night. Ironically enough, I did the Angel Nebula last night when I was on Night Skies Network broadcasting, I didn't know at the time that it was going to show up on tonight's list. I just happened to be doing it, but I spent 45 minutes on it last night to get the kind of clarity that I, wanted to get out of it. And so it's just a very faint galaxy. So what I'm going to do is we'll cheat tonight, and I'll show you, we'll do 10 or 15 minutes on it, and then I'll just show you the picture that I got at 45 minutes last night to kind of cut the time. Okay, we are now ignoring subs. Why are we ignoring subs? Oh, I'll bet you we moved into the pole. Okay, well, you know what? I think we're not going to get a whole lot more out of this anyway. We're clearly in the power pole because this brightness is showing that the light from it just disappeared, and dramatically. So I think we're just being blocked by the telephone pole. So let's just go ahead and go over to the Angel Nebula next. That is a cool little galaxy. But let's go to the Angel next. 2170. Angel Nebula. Okay, and I did do this. Yes, I did. So now let's send the scope over there, which thankfully raises it well above my head, because it was basically going right by my head before. Those really low southern targets. Okay, let's now plate solve you to make sure you're pretty much dead on. Okay. So now we will get that. Oh, sorry, Biker Fry. I didn't see your question. I didn't see your question in time, so I'm not sure what star you were referring to. So sorry about that. Okay, so this is going to be the Angel Nebula, NGC 2170. Yeah, Don Mark is in Anza Borrego right now, so I'm not sure how good his signal is, but alright, Angel Nebula. This, it has bright parts and it has some really faint, pretty, soft parts. And lots of satellites. Including this one, which, yeah. That's going to be, I wonder if that's going up or coming down. Guess we're going to find out. Alright, let's balance the histogram and get this thing making sense. So we can actually see some stuff. Okay. Yeah. So there's the Angel Nebula right up here. So this is all of it in here. And there's some very pretty nebulosity around these stars, reflection nebula, but there's a mission nebula in here that's actually, it's blue and red like some of the reflection and emission nebulas that we've been seeing tonight. I want to kill this. Get a new sub. Hopefully that satellite was going in the upward direction, not in the lower direction. Yay, it was. Good, so we just were able to clear it. And there's always, this is like a satellite highway going through here. I don't know if it's a Starlink train that's buzzing by, but last night this was a whole, there's like several very bright, completely parallel lines right here when I was doing this last night. So we'll just kind of ignore that stuff. Thankfully they missed the object. They just happened to be in the right place to miss the object. But yeah, like I said, we are going to cheat on this. I did this last night and spent 45 minutes on it to get a decent amount of result from it. We're not going to spend 45 minutes on it here. I'll do, 10 or 15 minutes or something, and then I'll just show you the picture that I got last night with 45 minutes because it's very faint. This part up here, that's really the kind of cool, interesting looking part, is very, very faint. And it just takes a lot of time to come in. So even with my dark skies, it's very slow to come in. So we'll have to give this a few minutes while it builds. It looks like I can stretch it even more. I have to wait for the broadcast to catch up because I'm monitoring the broadcast on my second computer, and I have to wait 30 seconds or so for my changes to show up in it before I can see what you can see. So sometimes it's a little bit of an iterative process for me to brighten things up enough. But you can start getting to see an idea that there is something in here, and maybe even start to see a little color out of it. It's a beautiful region, but it's just really faint. It's a challenge to get it, but that's why we're doing the Observer's Challenge. Mike, no, that's not the coat hanger. I can see kind of what you're referring to, though. It kind of does look like a little bit of a coat hanger thing there. But no, the coat hanger is up in the Milky Way in the summer sky. So it's in the summer Milky Way sky high above. So no, we're not. We're looking in the other direction from the coat hanger. Now this is just the Angel Nebula here, pretty much that we're seeing in this. Not much else to it. Not much else in the image, I guess I should say. Good evening, Mr. Hemingway. That's cool, Mark. That must have been pretty cool to see all those things in there at once. Okay, we're up to 12 minutes now. And still, you can see it's just very faintly coming through. See how our brightness is doing. Now we're holding steady. Good. Don't want to stretch it any much further because it will start being too grainy. But you can see there's some nice nebulosity in here covering these stars, and of course you've got the dark nebula covering the red and blue of the angel here. So it's a very beautiful area. It just needs a significant amount of time to sit on it to be able to see it well. Mike, this is the Angel Nebula, also known as NGC 2170. It's a faint nebula down by Orion. Yeah, I think those are the same cameras, Biker Fry. It's the 183 sensor. I think the IMX 183 is Sony's actual name for the sensor itself. They make the sensor, and then when it goes into the astronomy camera, it's called an ASI. But it is the 183 sensor is the same thing. Well, we've spent a little extra time. This definitely needs to have the time. But while we're doing this, I will go into here and I will actually, let's not do that. Let's pull up a fresh one and let me go into and show you guys what I got last night. And so at 45 minutes, you can see all the satellites that are in. Oh, no, I did not want you maximized. You can see all the satellites that are in there. But you can see that this is, it filled in a lot more. It got a lot brighter when I spent that much time on it. But it took 45 minutes, So we are here at 20 minutes, and this is what I got at 45 minutes. Again, I stretched the heck out of it because it was, still pretty faint. But it's got some really nice red and blue nebulosity in here, and this stuff filled in pretty well. But yeah, this is what it took for me to get a lot more color out. It just takes a lot of time, and to smooth it out would take even more time. It's just really faint, but it is a beautiful if faint nebula. So anyway, that's our cheating. I'll show you exactly what it looked like after that amount of time, but it just takes a long time to sit on it, and even longer subs wouldn't hurt. But on a YouTube broadcast, we're not gonna go through all that. So, let me close all this down. And close you down. No, we're not gonna close you down. Okay. Now, we've done Angel. I wonder if 2298's ready yet. I don't think it's probably ready yet. We've done all these. Let's see, Caldwell 25. Did we do C25? No, the Wanderer. We have not done the Wanderer yet, so let's pop up north. We'll give 2298 a little more time to rise just a little bit more. And so we'll pop up and do 2298 yet. We got 2903 yet and 4490 yet. So it looks like we've got these 4 left. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and call this one. And head up sky to Caldwell 25. Okay, Intergalactic Wanderer. It's a glob. Yeah, and there it is right there. I can see it right there. So let's just do it. Just switch to 3-minute subs as it is too faint. Yeah, well, what are you using? Is that a 50 millimeter refractor in that? You have the dwarf, right? Not the C-Star. Or do you have the C-Star? Now I forget which one you have. Howdy, Norm. Yep, out on YouTube. Well, quite frankly, it's NSN is coming to YouTube tonight. You are on. Mr. Bahu is on. Dawn is here as well. Actually, David usually shows up for my broadcast too when there's nobody else on NSN. So somehow everyone is coming over here to see me. I'm not sure how any of you are even knowing that I'm here. Somehow in the grapevine, my broadcasts are. But yes, YouTube. I like coming onto YouTube now and again. It's nowhere near as easy and fun to broadcast on as NSN is, but I still enjoy it, and it's still one of the big wrong button. One of the biggest advantages to it is that these are recorded, and so unlike NSN, these are recorded. So all of my family and friends and folks that are on later time zones can view this over the next coming days, and get to see my broadcasts. On NSN, that's not going to happen so much. So here we got another little bit of a twofer going on. And we've got our globular cluster here, the Intergalactic Wanderer, and we also got a nice little edge-on spiral galaxy up here too. So we'll get to see both of those. So that's pretty cool. Dawn, who left the back door open? Uh-oh. Dawn's throwing down. It's gorgeous tonight in California. It is, yes, and it's like the last one, because starting tomorrow we're supposed to get some pretty good wind and colder temperatures. So tonight is like the last of a string of really gorgeous nights. Alright, well, we'll give these a few subs and then we'll go kind of zoom in and look at each one of them. But the Intergalactic Wanderer, which is the NGC 2419, NGC 2419. Let's see what C key is stuck on my laptop all of a sudden, and it's not liking typing NGC. NGC 2419 is a globular cluster in the constellation Lynx. It was discovered by, you guys will all know, William Herschel on December 31st, 1788. What was he doing on New Year's Eve? Man, what a geek. He weren't partying, he was in the observatory. NGC 2419 is at a distance of about 300,000 light years from our solar system, and at the same distance from the galactic center. 2419 bears the name the Intergalactic Wanderer, which was bestowed when it was erroneously thought not to be in orbit around the Milky Way. Its orbit takes it farther away from the galactic center than the Magellanic Clouds, but it can, with qualification, be considered as part of the Milky Way. At this great distance, it takes 3 billion years to make one trip around the Milky Way. One trip, 3 billion years. So, basically, it's made 1.5 trips around the Milky Way in the entire time our sun has been alive. But like most globular clusters, it's a very dense core with a whole bunch of little stars around it. Where's that amp glow? Oh, you know what? I suppose I could turn off the dark for you there, Norm. Just for you. Have one sea urchin sub just for you to take a look at. I just got my Meade 8 LX out after 10 years, and it probably still was pretty darn good. Saw a C-Star 50 at the Star Party and was blown away. Trying to find something I can use that's just as impressive without hours of post-processing. Yeah, the Dwarf and the C-Stars are really, they're changing things a lot. By the way, what laptop are you using? Screen size and resolution? Oh gosh, my laptops are just old clunkers. What the heck is this? This is a Lenovo I'd have to flip the thing. I'm wearing my main control computer is at a Lenovo. I'd have to flip it over to see what it is. It's at least 5 years old. And this is the one I'm monitoring the broadcast on is an old Microsoft Surface Pro 3, which is at least a decade old. And so it doesn't take really high-end stuff to run SharpCap, as long as you're not trying to process, 60 megabit files with huge megapixel, cameras, which I don't do. Pretty much anything can run. So, which cluster is this? I don't know, Norm. You figure it out. Which galaxy is this? That's the question. Please plate solve again. Don't give me your plate solving crap. Just go. NGC 2424. Okay. Oh yeah, there's a UGC down here. Some PGCs thrown in. NGC 2424. Okay, let's see what it calls. Boy, it doesn't even have this in the calendar? Yeah, it does. 2419. It's got it right there. It just can't do both of those things at the same time. Ha! Anyway, 2424. NGC 2424. I'm interested to see what this guy's all about. Yes, Fantasy. Actually, they did. They've just released them. We are the LVAS Club, which I'm a member. We put on the telescope, the star viewing at night. We are going to be there the weekend of the 23rd and 24th of February. So I don't know if they start earlier in the week than that, but it's going to be at least Friday and Saturday and Sunday, the 23rd and 24th of February is when the Dark Sky Festival is here. So, and I will be out there. So if you're going to come by, let me know. Okay. What was I going to do? 2424. NGC 2424. NGC 2424. Did you mean NGC? No, it does not exist. Wikipedia has never heard of it. It's your birthday weekend. Cool. Yeah, I will definitely be out there. So, now that you know what my setup looks like, you'll see this out there. I'll probably have it on a old homemade wooden tripod. But yeah, I'll be out there. Weather permitting. Actually, last year's we had to call off because the weather was so bad. We called it off. So hopefully this year it'll happen. I mean, that's just totally edge on. You can't even really see much of any detail. It's got a nice little core bulge and just a straight up spiral. Alright, well, let's go back to our intergalactic wanderer here. Hello? Now all of a sudden you're not moving. Alright. Kind of interesting, it's right above these stars. Intergalactic wanderer. Yeah, last year was too stormy. I think, wasn't it last year? Or maybe that was our... I don't know. Anyway. I'm hoping to get there this year. I'm hoping they have it. It's it's only 75 miles from my house, so I actually commute. Most of them who come from Vegas camp, but I just commute, so I have a good time. It's nice to be there. Yeah, the lake. Yeah, well, the lake is long gone now, but unless we get some big rain between now and then, the lake is... All the kayakers have left. The lake is no longer in. Oh, good. Well, thank you, G. Arthur. 152 million light years away. It's about half a degree away from globular NGC 2419, which is actually the target we're supposed to be concentrated on. Cool. Yeah, you have to get cramping sparks real early, especially now that they've announced the official weekend. I mean, this, obviously, Furnace Creek is really busy anyway this time of year, especially February and March when the temperatures are really nice. So, yeah, get them early. Cool, Intergalactic Wanderer. Alright. So there's Caldwell 25. What are we going to do next? You know what? Let's do 2298 next. I think it's probably high enough. Excuse me. I think it's probably high enough that we can do it. So let's go ahead and do 2298. Our other very southern target. Also another glob. So it should be plenty bright. Plenty blight. Alright, let's get that out of there. And then go here and tell the telescope to go. And again, this is going to be basically pointing right over my head, actually kind of right beside my head. So hopefully it won't pick up a bunch of light from me. But yeah, looks like we should be clear. Looks like we should be clear. Oh, yeah, there it is right there. Already got it. Yeah, because this is a glob, you know, I might I might actually drop to 30 seconds. And you know what, I'm gonna drop to 30 seconds. Globs are better when you drop them to less exposure time. Okay, because they're so bright, often it helps to reduce the exposure time on them. Alright. Oh, that's a bright star. Okay, and we'll have to realign all of this to get it to make sense. And then, ooh, right in the middle of a power line. Dang. Okay, so again, this is only about 12 or 14 degrees above my southern horizon. So we're going to have to wait a minute on this for it to pop out. It's still rising, so I'm hoping it's just going to rise above that that wire, and then we will we'll have to come back to it. Okay, in the meantime, let's do 29.0. That's awful low too. Let's see if I can get to it. Yeah, I think we've done everything else up there. It's just these three on the bottom now that we've got left. Alright, let's see if I can get 29.03. Let's see if I can get 29.03. Hopefully that will be high enough to be able to do. Yeah, good. It is. Sufficiently high above my roof. 29, yeah, and there it is right there. We'll plate solve it to center it up, but it's right there. Oh, and I also want to change my it's going to take this and suck it right back up to the middle. Boink. Right up there. Alright, I also want to change back to my 1 minute exposures. Load that baby. And then load my flat again. Otherwise it won't look very good at all. And then we will start imaging. Okay. Time for sleep. Just wanted to pop in and say hello. Thanks for the views, Mike. See you next time. Thanks, Norm. I'll see you next time indeed. Hopefully you'll show up on NSN once in a while now. Be nice to see you again in there. Take her easy. Okay. Now... 2903. Let's see what he had to say about 2903. No, not that window. Where are we? 2903. What did he say? Always thinking as a forgotten galaxy in Leo. Even Messier skipped it. Its dwarf companion, UGC 5086, should be far more challenging. Okay. Well, we'll see about that. You there. Ooh, it's a pretty spiral though. Look at that. It is a pretty spiral. That's very nice. That's a pretty one. Rocket City Astro. Welcome to the show. I might. Yeah, well, hopefully you will, Norm. This is actually a very nice little spiral. Now, where is the UGC he's talking about? He said UGC 5086 should be far more challenging. Dwarf companion UGC 5086. Okay. Well, we'll see. Oh, I'm seeing somebody up here. I'm seeing somebody up there. Let's see if that's... Well, let's get a few subs. I won't cheat and do the annotation yet. But I have a feeling that's probably what he's referring to. UGC 5086. There looks like there's some other faint droplets around here too. Into there. I have a feeling this is the guy there. Yep, that's it. UGC 5086. This is its dwarf companion right there. And this is a PGC, and this is a PGC, and this is a PGC, and this is a PGC. And there's another one up here. Oh, just out of view. Yeah, oh yeah, look at them all up here. There's a whole bunch in here. Anyway, these are the galaxies of record. This one, and then this was the super challenge. The dwarf companion of this guy. Alright. Well, let's see what we can see about 2903. Alright, you see 2903. Spiral Galaxy and Constellation Leo. It's an isolated barred spiral galaxy in Leo. It was discovered by German William Herschel, who catalogued it on November 16, 1784. He mistook it as a double nebula, as did subsequent observers, and it wasn't until the 19th century that the 3rd Earl of Rosse resolved it into a spiral form. It's located about 30 million light-years away from the Milky Way and is a member of the Virgo supercluster. It's a barred spiral with moderate to tightly wound spiral arms, which we can kind of see there. Yeah, you got to see it pretty well. And blah, 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 and a weaker bar structure with a partial ring. The bar structure appears stronger in the near-infrared band. Let's see, anything else interesting they have to say about it? No, not really. 30 million light years away. Do they have a size? About 100,000 light years in size, so it's just a little bit smaller, about 20% smaller than the Milky Way. Everything was a nebula at one point. Yeah, they thought everything was nebulas, planetary nebulas, galactic nebulas, everything was a nebula. They didn't really have a concept about other galaxies yet. Boy, now we can't count them, there are so many. We don't have numbers big enough for how many galaxies there are. The web is just finding all kinds of crazy numbers of galaxies. Alright, let's pop you over there, and then pop you over here, stretch you out a bit more, so you guys can see more of that detail there. Just got a galaxy scope, a carbon star, oh, they finally came out with a carbon star 200? Did they really? I was waiting for months for one of those things. The 150 was fine, but I already had a 6-inch imaging newt, so I didn't need to side grade, but if they'd come out with the 8-inch a year or so ago, I would have jumped all over it. Instead, I just decided to go to an 8-inch SCT and a Hyperstar, and I think I'm happier here, so yeah, cool. Well, that's cool. They finally got the Carbon Star 200 out. Yeah, let's risk a bit more zoomage. Get in and see some more detail. Definitely a pretty galaxy. Definitely loving it. Oh, you're loving it so far, yeah. Definitely a cool galaxy. Yeah, I definitely would have, if they'd come out a year ago, I definitely would have gotten a Carbon Star 200. No doubt about it. It would have been a fairly decent upgrade for me, but now I'm pretty darn happy where I am. Pretty darn happy right where I am at this point. F19 is doing me very well. Fastest I could get with the imaging newt was F3. And that was fun for a while. It was really fun. But now the F19 is a whole other league. Yeah, cool. SharpStar 260. I looked at that too, but yeah, too expensive, too big. Eh. Just bought an 8-inch Edge HD, hoping to emulate Mike's workflow. Just need the Hyperstar. Ha! Yeah, well, it took me about a month to wait for my Hyperstar. Because I bought it on the used market. I'm too cheap to pay new, so I waited on the cloudy nights till it showed up. Took about a month for one to show up, but I finally made it, so I was able to snag it. Man, it's just life at F19 is just, there's nothing like it. It's just absolutely fantastic. Are we looking at a stacked image right now? Yes, Brian, this is a stacked image. If you look at the bottom down here, you'll see that I have 11 images stacked with a total integration time of 11 minutes because I'm using 60-second subs. So SharpCap is stacking 60-second subs to build the image that we're seeing right now. So, and thanks for the thumbs up, guys. Appreciate it. Don't know that I've ever gotten 25 thumbs up in one thing, so. Really appreciate the love. Dawn says you don't see anywhere on the web a CarbonStar 200. Well, I make up that they called it a CarbonStar 200. Maybe they call it something different. They called the 6-inch the CarbonStar 150, so. But the CarbonStar 150 was an imaging newt, an F4 imaging newt. And so, I assume if they're going to have the 8-inch, it's going to be the 200. But anyway, I don't know. I stopped looking. I stopped looking when I got my C8. So, well, thank you for the vote of confidence there, Fantasy. I don't, you know, for me this is not like, I mean, I know some people want to have big numbers on YouTube because, you know, you can make money from that. For me, this is really about just sharing what I love. So I don't really care about the audience. I'm happy when people appreciate it. I'm happy when people have enjoy what they're seeing, and if I can bring them what's out there in this beautiful creation of ours, and you know, teach people a little something about it, then I'm a happy man. Whether it's just 2 or 3 people or 200, doesn't matter to me. But I don't think I do them regularly enough on YouTube either, because I like broadcasting on Night Skies Network too much. But anyway, I definitely will continue to do them here. I'm not going to give up on YouTube. Even though I wish we could chat two-way, but oh well. Can't have everything. Apertura CarbonStar 8-inch Richard Crichton telescope. Not Newt. They have it at High Point. Oh, okay, so it's not the CarbonStar 200. Oh, it's the RC. Okay, totally different thing. Yeah, at High Point. I've seen it with the other channels. You should get in touch with Mark D'Antonio, Sky Tour Live. You guys do very... Yeah, I actually have seen one or two of his things. Yeah, he's down in Arizona, if I remember correctly. And, yeah. He does very similar stuff. But, you know, he's a guy who sits inside. You know, he doesn't want to sit outside by his scopes. He sits... Yeah, I don't know. Anyway. I'm just BSing. I've got no reason to diss him. He does some really good stuff, and I've enjoyed the couple that I watched of his. I enjoyed some stuff, and I learned some stuff. He knows actually a lot more about this stuff than I do, and he's very knowledgeable about it, so he does good stuff. I started streaming about a year ago, so only have 210 sub, but slowly growing. Yeah, well, I've been streaming for years, and I've got 250, so you know, one of my ambitions is not getting a huge amount of subs. I don't really care. I'm just, you know, I just like bringing this stuff to people and hope they enjoy themselves. Discord for voice chat. Yeah, you know, I've never looked at Discord. I don't know that I'll bother, but he's in Connecticut and streams his telescope from Arizona. Well, no wonder he's not outside with his scopes. He's totally remote. I get it. Okay. Huh. watched Mark for years. He knows the science. Yeah, he really does. He knows the science a lot better than I do. You know, I just know enough to get by and be moderately interesting, but he seems to really know the stuff. So anyway, I think we've spent a bit of time on this, and in fact, I've been so busy yakking, I've let the histogram go to heck here. That's what it's supposed to look like. So we definitely got both objects, though. We also got the companion. So the challenge here was its dwarf companion should be far more challenging, and there it is right there. So we definitely got them both. You guys probably can't see it real brightly, but we definitely got both objects in the screen, so that's cool. I'll stretch it a little harder and see if you guys can't see that. He has a co-host most of the time. With me, LX90F10, will I have terrible results with the same camera setup as you? The same camera setup. Well, with the Meade at F10, you didn't say how big it was, but if it's an 8-inch at F10, you're 2,000 millimeters. And are you planning on using it with any sort of focal reducer? Basically, what you want to do is match your focal length, however you use a scope. If it's at f10 or f6.3 or f4 or with a Hyperstar, and I don't think they make Hyperstars for Meades anyways, so you can't do it with that. But if you get a reducer, okay, so it's an 8-inch, so 2,000 millimeters at f10. If you get a 6.3 reducer, or if you can find one of the 3.3 reducers and reduce it down to like 650 millimeters of focal length, 183 might do well, but the small pixels will, they really want shorter focal lengths, which is why I use this with the Hyperstar, because I'm at 390 millimeters. The small pixels go with small focal length. When you go to longer focal length, you actually want bigger pixels, or otherwise you're what's called oversampled. You're getting way too much data, way too fine a data. One of the best things I would recommend for you to do is go to astronomy.net, or I'm sorry, astronomy.tools. And in fact, I will show you. Let's look at this, astronomy. And that's not it, that's not it. Astronomy, EAA, and oh boy, do I have this? This may be, oh shoot, no, I did the wrong, there you go, astronomy.tools. Okay, and then this will put it on imaging mode, and then in here you can put in your stuff. You can put in which scope you're using, or just put the focal length and aperture. Then you can put which cameras you're using, whether you're binning it or not, and it will tell you what your resulting image scale is going to be, and can even show you an image with it. And just go through this site, and it will, you want to try and get a camera that'll give you an image scale somewhere in the 1 to 2 pixels arc seconds per pixel range. And so that will match up well. So you really want, the longer your focal length, the bigger the pixels in the camera. So I would say, to answer your question, if you can take depending on the focal length of your scope, you want to match the camera to it. So 183 will be really good for short focal length. If you can get a good reducer on it, at least a 6.3, even a 3.3 if you can find one. They're very rare now. And then a 183 would work. Otherwise, I would go with a bigger pixel camera. Go with a 533. If you can get a 6.3 reducer, you can probably go with a 533 or even a 2600, and that might be a nice matchup for that for the 1400 millimeters of focal length, or even a 294. With the 6.3 reducer, even a 294 would be a great matchup. So I'd probably go with those bigger pixel cameras. If you're going to do at f6.3 or f10, certainly you're going to need bigger pixel camera. But if you can manage to get it reduced down to short, then a 183 would be a good way to go. For me, it matches up well with my Hyperstar with the 183 because I'm only at 390 millimeters of focal length. So hopefully that answers those questions. When it gets warmer, I'll be streaming from the Von Braun Observatory with a 2-meter scope. Whoa. At less than f1? Yikes. My Galaxy scope is at 0.68. Dang, that is fast. Alright. Anyway, blah blah blah. We need to find our next object. 2903 has been a very pretty one. No doubt it's a very pretty galaxy. Let's see if we can go back to 2298 again, and if it's cleared our wires. Let's see if it's okay. Good night, 2903, and your little companion right there. Cool object. Alright, let's head back down south and hope we've cleared the power lines. And we zip right on in here. Yeah, okay, I'm not seeing any discoloration, so well, we're pretty well centered, so I'm not even going to bother to plate solve that because we're pretty close to the middle anyway. Yeah, hopefully that didn't just verbal diarrhea all over you, that I gave you too much information, but yeah, I would go to astronomy.tools. Whenever I'm considering a new scope or a new camera, I go to astronomy.tools and put all the information, put it in imaging mode, put all the information in, and try and match up the right camera for the focal length I'm at. And usually that means you want to have the image scale somewhere in the 1 to 2 arcseconds per pixel range. Will get you about right. I try to get to 1, but that's optimistic. Seeing often doesn't let you get much below 1.5 or 2 anyway, because your seeing isn't usually good enough to see down that fine. But I shoot for 1 or as close as I can get to it anyway, just because on those nights when you have great seeing, then you're already set up and ready to go and you can see the extra detail. But somewhere in that range will be good. 1 to 2, even 2.5 will be a good way to do it. Okay, now I think I'm picking up my own red light. This is, I'm basically shooting right over my head here, so I gotta turn my headlamp off, otherwise I'm getting my own light in here. Okay, but here's our little glob. It's a little guy, no doubt about that. Here's our little glob. It's a cute little guy. You know, and I think what I'm going to do, this is a glob, so I'm going to change to 30 seconds again. Because, globular clusters just don't need as much. Exposure time. They just get too saturated. So I just got here wondering which galaxy you are shooting. So what we were on, the galaxy we're on was NGC 2903. That's what we were just seeing before. And now we've moved on to a little globular cluster that's in the very low southern sky. This is only about 10 degrees above my horizon, my southern horizon. So it's not going to be a great image, but we'll be able to see it pretty well. Back this off a little. Yeah, so you get a nice little yeah, we got a nice little glob there. Let's see what he had to say about it. I wonder if he said much of anything about it. Let's else is this guy here? A globular cluster in Puppis. Okay, yeah, so yeah, just a little glob. It's a very southern target. Okay, NGC, let's see if Wikipedia has NGC 2298. It does. Globular cluster, but it doesn't have much. Discovered by James Dunlop in 1826. It's probably a former member of the disputed Canis Major dwarf galaxy. It is probably a former member of the disputed Canis Major dwarf galaxy. It is a disputed dwarf galaxy, a regular galaxy in the local group, located in the same part of the sky as the constellation Canis Major. Okay. Interesting. Well, Canis Major is definitely up in the sky, but this is kind of a long way away from it. Canis Major. Well, I guess it's just kind of right there, so maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Canis Major dwarf galaxy. Okay. A disputed member of the Canis Major dwarf galaxy. Alright. The cluster is being disrupted by the galactic tide, trailing a long tidal tail. Okay, so there's that. So I think there's only one object we haven't done yet, and that's 4490. I wonder if that's high enough yet for me to do. Most everything else is... We did it all already. Most of it's crossed over the meridian. So 4490 is left. Don't know if that's... yeah, it's close. I'm not sure if that's high enough yet. I might have to do... well, and also, the moon is going to start rising here, so I'm going to try and get it because we're going to start losing contrast in the sky here pretty quick. When the moon rises, my Bortle level is I'm probably about 2.5. I'm probably like high Bortle 2, low Bortle 3, depending on which light pollution map you look at. So I call it about Bortle 2.5. I'm 80 miles due west of Las Vegas, so the bottom 25% or 30%, 30 degrees of my eastern sky is the Vegas Light Dome, which thankfully is blocked by my house here that's off to the east of me anyway. You know, I do get some from that, but that's pretty much all I get. The rest of the sky is pretty dark, so somewhere at about Bortle 2.5 or so. Alright, so a cool little glob. Try to back this off, get to see a little more of the core in there. A little more of the core of stars going on in there. I don't know if it didn't say how many stars are in it, so... Anyway, cool little glob. Alright, let's go see where 4490 is. Let's see if I can, if it's high enough yet for me to hit it. And if I can get there. Might still be a little low, but we'll find out. Well, it's in the northeastern sky though, so actually I have pretty low horizon to my northeast. So let's slew around from the southern part of the sky, from low in the south to low in the north. Actually, hold on, I'm going to have to look to see if I'm hitting a roof or not. Wow, this is so close to my roof that I can't tell if I'm getting a clear shot of this or not. Well, it's right there. It's, boy, after all that big long slew, it went right dead center. Go AM5. Alright. Your sky's just cleared up, going to set up your scope. Good, good for you. Yeah, get out there and do it. Don't be watching YouTube. If you have the opportunity to get out there and do it yourself, that's the way to get it done. Let's see if we can see this galaxy. It's very close to my roof. It's just risen out from behind it. Hopefully it's clear enough that I can see it. So what is, we got the 4490, the Cocoon Galaxy. What did he say about it here? A pair of interacting galaxies. Okay, so it's just a pair of interactors. Okay, let's get the histogram straightened out here. Make it so, yeah, see? Haha. Yeah. Well, actually, I think what it is this is the roof, and this is leaving the roof. So I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be okay with this because I think this is all moving away from the roof. So hopefully we're just barely in time for it to clear. Hey, good night, Don. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you showing up and chatting. And I will see you probably on NSN here the next couple nights or so. Do you do any analog visualization, or are you solely digital? Nope. I got rid of all. I own like 2 eyepieces. 2 really crappy eyepieces that came with a couple of scopes I bought. And basically the only time I put those in if I'm having to do some sort of... Actually, I'm using one right now. It's stuck in the back of the C8 because I'm using the Hyperstar in the front. The only thing I had to plug the back of it was a 1 1/4 inch visual back that had a plastic cap on the back of it that was not opaque, so it would leak light into my my subs as I'm using the Hyperstar. So I decided to just take my crappy little 10mm eyepiece and stick it in the back in the 1 1/4 inch visual back, capped, and it actually is now the way I cap the back end of the scope. So I guess technically I'm currently using my 10mm eyepiece right now, but I have not looked through it in a very long time. I just I don't do. If I'm going to do visual, I get out my astro binoculars and my mirror mount. So I will do some binocular stuff. For a while, I also owned a pair of image stabilized binoculars, and that was fun to use for a little while. Yeah, for the most part, I have not looked through an eyepiece in quite a long time. Quite a long time. Yeah, these are kind of interesting. I'm not sure I'm getting... So these are just a couple of galaxies that are interacting, and as a result, they're kind of tearing each other apart. So they're kind of very oddly shaped galaxies. Because they're pulling each other... 4490, they're pulling each other apart. NGC 4490. Also known as the Cocoon Galaxy, is a barred spiral in the constellation Canis Venatici. William Herschel, there's our man again, discovered it in 1788. It's known to be of the closest interacting merging galactic system. So that's obviously not written right. So it looks like it's the closest interacting merging galactic system to us. It's at a distance of only 25 million light years. That is close, making it located in the local universe. It interacts with its smaller companion NGC 4485, and as a result is a starburst galaxy. They are collectively known in the Atlas of Peculiar Galaxies as ARP269. The two galaxies has already made, boy, somebody needs to proofread this thing, their closest approach and are rushing away from each other. It's been discovered that NGC 4490 has a double nucleus. Ah, cool. Yeah, so only 25 million light years away, and they're just oddly shaped things that are just kind of pulling, their gravities are kind of pulling each other apart, making them sort of just weirdly shaped. The future of the Milky Way and Andromeda, yeah, that seems to be what's probably going to happen when our two galaxies get together. The most interesting thing about galactic collisions is that almost nothing collides. Even though there are billions of stars in two different galaxies, when they collide, there's so much space between everything that when they collide, it's extremely unlikely that anything will actually physically collide with another thing. What tears them apart is simply their own gravity wells. Their gravity of each other tears themselves apart, and that's really what creates all this disruption and weird shapes that we see in interacting galaxies like this, is that they just tear each other apart gravitically, and little to no actual physical impact of anything occurs. So they're just it's a pretty cool deal. Not that I'm looking forward to it, but yes, when Andromeda and the Milky Way get together, it's going to be an interesting thing. What would be cool is to show up in a million years or so when the Andromeda is just much closer and it's like filling part of the sky. That would be totally cool. And I believe this is the last object of ours, which is actually great timing because the moon is now starting. Yeah, see, the moon is right here. It's going to be rising, breaking through in about 20 minutes or so. And so about 30, because I'm in dark sky, like I said about Bortle 2.5, about 30 minutes before moonrise, the sky starts brightening. And I actually start losing contrast in my images. So that has already started because the moon is going to be rising here in the next 20 minutes or so. So this is kind of perfect timing. In fact, as we take subs, you'll probably see the background lightening with each sub instead of darkening, which is what it's supposed to do, because of the moon is just now starting to rise. So this will be my last object because it is the last object. So that's pretty cool timing. And thank you, Biker Fry. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Daryl. Thanks to everyone who showed up tonight, and thanks to all you viewers after the fact. If you guys are watching this tomorrow or next month or next year or whatever, if you've gotten this far through it, well, thanks for sticking it out. Hopefully you learned some stuff and got to see some cool things, because there's a lot of cool stuff up here to see, and I really enjoy showing it. So thanks everyone. We'll give this another couple of minutes, 3 minutes here, and call it a night myself. Been going for a little over 3 hours, so that's a good long night for me. I used to only go for about 2.5 hours, but lately, I guess I've been having so much fun, I've been doing 3 to 3.5 these last few that I've done. Yeah, well, if you want to see me live more often, come over to nightskiesnetwork.com. And there'll be, if anybody's broadcasting, it'll be right there on the home page, and the pulsing blue button will say Tacopa Skies, and that's where I am, Tacopa, California. And you can click on that and come in and see what I'm doing that night on NSN. NSN is just a bit more fun to broadcast on, because you don't need extra software to run on it like you do with YouTube, and it's just a little bit simpler. And everybody, if you have a microphone, everybody can just talk. You can just talk live, which is kind of cool. Unlike these broadcasts where the only voice you're going to hear is me, unless you do something like the Discord thing. But I don't feel like making something that's already complicated even more complicated, so I've never looked at the Discord thing, although that probably would work. Ooh, we had dropped a sub. Yeah, we just dropped below. Something happened. A cloud. We got something going on. Oh, you know what? I think I might have gotten into the dish. There's a satellite TV dish on my roof, and I think this might be getting blocked by my dish. It is the best time of the year for astronomy, especially if you got heated apparel. The cold weather makes the air much more steady and clear, and the transparency better. So it is a cool deal. The winter is the best time. It is the best air. It's just a matter of tolerating the cold. Let's see if I keep this sub or if it gets dumped. Yeah, it got dumped. So I'm just blocked. So that's as good as this is gonna get, unfortunately, and I'm done anyway. So thank you guys. I really appreciate y'all being here, and I will catch you again sometime soon here. Next time the weather and my schedule agree, I'll be back and we'll do this again. So thanks everybody for being here, and have a great night.